Hey agents, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the differences between brand sets and gear sets in the Division 2. For those of you who are familiar with this channel, you may have noticed that I tend to use 4-piece gear sets on a lot of my builds. There are many reasons for this, which I'll be going over in this video, along with the benefits and weaknesses of both types of gear. Now, if you are new to the channel, I highly recommend getting acquainted if you like the Division 2 content, and the best way to do that is by subscribing. So enough dawdling around, let's get to the million-dollar question. Why does Noob always use gear sets in his build? The simple answer, it's because they're fun. I came from the Division 1 and I was a huge fan of classified gear sets. Back then, each gear set had its own unique playstyle. If I felt like becoming Superman for a few seconds after getting a kill, I could play Alpha Bridge. If I wanted to apply a Giga Bleed on my enemies, I could go Predator's Mark. If I was locked in and wanted good aim to be rewarded with more damage and sustain, I'd go Striker. All of these may have been DPS builds, but they all required you to adjust your approach to get maximum value. For PvP at least, this was peak Division. A lot of people complain that classified gear sets killed build diversity, but let's be honest, high-end builds are basically all the same. Like really, they are. Sure, there are hundreds of DPS builds out there courtesy of your favorite content creators, but they all play the same. Click on an enemy and do damage. Mr. ABC's build does this much damage, but Miss XYZ's build does 1.2% more damage. Oh my god, groundbreaking! We're gonna blame something for killing build diversity in PvE. That's 100% on Striker's battle gear. At the tail end of the Division 1, the devs were finally able to balance it, but it has once again become the end-all, be-all build in Division 2 PvE. Not that I'm complaining. Anyways, enough throwing around blame, let's get to the matter at hand. Brand sets versus gear sets in the Division 2. Generally speaking, for a gear set build, you're going to have 4 pieces of 1 gear set plus 2 brand set pieces, or 1 brand set and 1 exotic. Builds with 2 or 3 pieces of a gear set are very few and far between, and you will never equip just 1 gear set piece. Why? Because gear sets give you a small bonus for having 2 equipped, another bonus for having 3, and then a giga bonus for having 4 equipped. You get nothing for having only 1 piece equipped. Brand sets, on the other hand, give you a bonus for the first piece and each additional piece you have up to 3 pieces. Do not equip more than 3 pieces of 1 brand set though. Please. There are currently 34 different brand sets in the Division 2, meaning there are over 1.5 billion possible builds you could make with brand sets alone. But, of course, most of these would be totally impractical. It's up to the agent to decide which combination of brand set bonuses will yield the most damage, healing, or survivability. And that's a great thing about brand sets. There are so many combinations to choose from, so theory crafters never get bored. Also, because of their 2 attributes and the talents on the chest pieces and backpacks, it can be extremely hard to get your ideal piece, meaning endless content for agents who are just here for the grind. So the way I see it, brand sets aren't so much about the enjoyment from using your build in actual combat, but more so about being creative and coming up with new builds, plus the grind to find that perfect piece to eke out every last iota of damage on your build. Another good point about brand sets is that if you've put together a good build, that build will be good in pretty much any situation. You aim, shoot, and do damage. If you want to do more damage, put more damage cores on your build. If you want more survivability, add more armor cores. No need to jump through hoops to get consistent value, just hit your shots. If you want to turn off your brain and shoot things, brand sets are perfect for you. Finally, if you just like having a full build inventory, you'll have a much easier time coming up with new builds centered around brand sets, with maybe a complementary exotic. Because really, how many suboptimal striker builds can we think of? Oh. And yeah, I was not exaggerating when I said there are over 1.5 billion possible builds you can make with brand sets. So how about gear sets? Where do they thrive? When do they fall short? Well, unlike brand sets, gear sets have 4-piece bonuses. And this 4-piece bonus is usually going to depict your playstyle. So for example, with Hunter's Fury, you're going to fight up in the enemy's faces. With Eclipse Protocol, you're going to load up on status effects. So of course, this can be a good thing because you can add a lot of variety to your gameplay just by changing your builds. But it also means your builds will be more situational. Like running Eclipse Protocol in content where enemies are all spread out, you won't be able to spread the love, and so you're going to get very little value. Maybe you're playing Striker or Heartbreaker in PvP and all the enemies have very low armor. You won't be able to build stacks, making your 4-piece bonus essentially useless. And you gotta remember how much you're sacrificing for that illustrious bonus. Brand set pieces give you 2 attributes, but poor gear set pieces come with only 1. So if you're running a crit build, brand sets let you throw crit damage and crit chance on each piece. But with gear sets, you gotta choose one or the other. Also, the 2 and 3 bonuses on gear sets are set in stone. Like, I don't want 15% armor on kill on my System Corruption 2-piece bonus. It's virtually useless in PvP, but I'm stuck with it because gear set. So with gear sets, you get to be creative with your gameplay, but putting the actual build together is quite inflexible. The opposite is true for brand set builds. So if you're like me and you get the most enjoyment from actually playing the game the way you want to play it, maybe gear sets are the way to go. But I know a lot of agents who get a lot of enjoyment from coming up with a new build every week. And well, brand sets can keep them entertained for approximately
1.5 billion weeks.
Finally, gear sets are ridiculously easy to farm. Because as I mentioned, they have only 1 attribute, and the backpack and chest talents are fixed. Farming those 4 pieces for your build can be done in literally minutes, whereas brand sets are exponentially more time consuming to farm. For PvE players, this probably isn't much of an issue because farming is what you do. But for a lot of PvP players, doing PvE content is like pulling teeth, and running countdown over and over again gets tiring for anyone. So finding that perfect brand set piece for your build is going to be rough if RNGesus isn't being kind to you. So to sum things up with my completely subjective opinion, I know it may seem like I was bashing brand set builds a lot during this video, and that's because I personally hate them. I think they're all the same and boring. Right now I think I have 1 build that doesn't include 4 pieces of a gear set, because I want to do more than just shoot my gun. I want to build stacks. I want to pop Hackstep Protocol and turn the fight when some dingus shoots me from behind. I want to do damage to 3 enemies at the same time. And gear sets give me that flexibility, that variety. It just means that in some situations, it's going to be a lot harder for me to get maximum value. That being said, skill builds, whether using gear sets or brand sets, can help satisfy that yearning for variety in your gameplay, as each skill requires a different skill to be competent with them. But skill builds just aren't my thing, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. And yeah, that's that. Gear sets, yay! Brand sets, not so yay. But whether you're a gear set agent, a brand set agent, or an agent who's all over the board, thanks so much for watching, and have fun out there, agents.
sending you a specialization supply drop. Victory is yours. Good job.